click on go live.
I'm hoping that's fine.
Should be. We're live now, so yay. Let's go public. Now I need to put the link in on the Discord. Where is Discord? But hey people, we're live. How you doing? Yeah, we're gonna talk about everything everywhere all at once today. So it seems that is quite a few things to cover. We're gonna stream for 3 days straight with no interruptions. Is that right, Jeb?
Hello.
Hey, Jeb. Do you think 3 days is enough to cover everything everywhere all at once, or do you think we need a few more days?
Yeah, you'll hear me on the bus go to my parents tomorrow, and you may hear my nan, but it'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just tweeting it out and posting it on Discord, the stream. But yeah. Hi folks. How you doing? Neb is in the call, so he's probably gonna say some dumb shit that none of you will know because he's saying it in the chat, in the Discord chat. But we will laugh and you will be very confused, because that's just how we roll in the ECUM whenever Neb is here. And fuck y'all. See, now that's a thing that everyone actually can see. So you're not being clever or funny, Neb. You're just being mean. Which, to be fair, is very in character. Alrighty, now everything's set up. Hey, people. Hi, Jeb, I got a new car. Why are you only telling Jeb that, Sheddy? Don't I deserve to know about your new car? I think this is racism, personally.
I can explain the context. So, I went into Uvu's server and I just added someone saying I got a new car, like room skill, and I said it was a 1991 Toyota Corolla.
Oh, okay. Of course you did.
If you hear like jump like banging in there, that's my cat, so I'm gonna kick him at this rate.
Don't kick the cat, at least not live on stream. They'll kick us out of YouTube. Look, Jeb didn't actually kick the cat, okay? It was all a ruse. But yeah, you gonna finish your thought, Jeb, or was that it? With
that
the
was,
car.
That was it.
Wow, that was underwhelming. All right. Well, so your dick is also underwhelming, but we didn't need to mention that on stream, to be fair.
How would you know? You haven't had my dick.
Well, thank God, but Kara has told me all about it. No, for real. Today, Neb is saying the Jab smells Sky right now, so good for you, Jab, for smelling me. Yeah, today we're gonna cover everything everywhere all at once, which you've mentioned a few times. It was supposed to be ECUM 49, but because of good old Madvocate, he ruined all our plans, and we had to cover that Birdman video. So yeah, this is when we're gonna cover it now. But yeah, it's a film that we all love. But before we get into it, we still have to talk about well, the recommendation corner, because it's the most exciting time in the world when we do the recommendation corner. So yay. Tin, what do you have to recommend today in the recommendation corner?
Well, for my recommendation, yeah, it was earlier this week. Yeah, I watched Good Time because
oh, very nice, very basic.
I've been meaning to watch it for a while since that's what Matt Reeves said was what made him choose Robert Pattinson for the Batman, and I've heard around the sphere that it's pretty good, so I checked it out, and yeah, it was pretty fucking good, you know. It really sort of nailed the sort of constant tension that it had, because every scene felt like something was gonna fuck up and go wrong, which any film that can actually achieve that, I gotta appreciate, because when you feel like something's gonna fuck up and go wrong and it's intentional, then you know they've done it right. And also, there was one scene which Sky, have you seen it? Right?
I've seen it. Yes, I love it.
There was one scene which made me fucking sick to my stomach, and you probably know which one.
Yes. Well, there are a few, but I think I know which one. Yeah.
I never thought I'd say this, but I never thought during the film I'd be saying "she's 16, you dickhead" in my head over and over again.
Yeah, that film is I love I
Not
love
for the faint of
the
heart, is what I'd say.
yeah, I love how the film is shot, because you said about having that sense that everything that something's like about to go wrong. And the way the film is shot is like extremely claustrophobic, and you can tell
Yeah, exactly.
it's the Safdie brothers film, Safdie brothers film, because of it is shot basically in the same way that Uncut Gems is, in that sense, where you feel like like in the mind of the character, because of the way it's shot with the camera, like with the extreme close-ups, and the focus and everything being like very erratic. It is really interesting. So yeah, I really do love that film. I do need to rewatch it, but yeah, I recommend.
But yeah, I gave that a watch and it was really fucking good. The tension was brilliant and all around fantastic film. That's my recommendation.
Very base then. uh hey Jeb, what is your recommendation?
This is not good. Is I've only watched two things this week, which is obviously Stranger Things and Flash. But I'm actually going to expand a bit on my Stranger Things thing because now I
Just
can actually
go
form.
on good old Barry Allen's in chat. Hey Barry Allen, you have to stop saying that, because you already know that Jeb predicted that way before you spoiled him, because he said that Iris would die in like episode 12 or some shit. We have evidence of that by the fucking recordings. The first time you spoiled him was after episode 15, which we do address in the next recording. So can you please stop saying that shit as if Jeb is pretending to know to not know what happens, and when in fact he does, because he does. Jeb just predicted a lot of shit. It's fine that Jeb can predict things, you don't have to be such a cringe lord about your favorite show. Anyway, Jeb, Stranger Things.
So I can actually form coherent thoughts and expand on it without entering spoilers. I can understand why it went mainstream. I really can. There's because it's got a lot of things that appease a casual audience, especially with its setting, and it's despite dealing with fantastical concepts, it does it in a simplistic manner, and it really goes for big dramatic payoffs. Um, Season 3 stinks. I know that's controversial because apparently it's meant to be fun.
No, it's not
No.
controversial. It's controversial with Neb. Everyone says that season 3 sucks, so don't worry.
Yeah, season 3 is just annoying. It's like how do we go so far away from our tone that we kind of keep hitting ourselves with it? Season 2 wasn't as bad as I expected. I'm actually quite happy with it. It's not as good as season 1, but it's acceptable. Season 1's excellent. Season 4, it's not as good as season 1, but when it is good, it's exceptionally good. It's just when it has its low moments, it sinks it a bit too far down, and it tends to focus on things that I think detract from the stakes and what you're mainly invested in. I saw you colour in that Discord icon. I've noticed. Um, and also, I don't like what they've done with a creative decision. I don't know how much I could say on it, 'cause I don't know if you know the creative decision. Um,
I don't know much about season 4. Would rather not be spoiled.
what do you know? Then I could just say yes, no. Then.
But what? No, I'm not gonna say it either, because I don't know what Ten and Zod knows, and I don't know if they care about spoilers. And
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, they did a creative decision that's been pretty telling across the show, and whilst it's clear they want to have it have function, I feel like it undermines stakes for the sake of writing what you want to write. Um, that's about the best I could say on it. The villains in the show, well, there's obviously one exceptional villain. Season 1 didn't really have a villain, but it was interesting. Season 2 and 3 I just didn't care. But yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm looking forward to season 5. I hope it ends on a really high note. Because God knows we need that. I don't want a Game of Thrones situation, but I'm scared that it's very likely to do that because I can't see how they can do certain things whilst maintaining stakes. which you'll understand when you get to season 4.
All right.
But yeah.
That's Jab's recommendation. Woo, we did it. Yeah. Well, yeah, are you done? Just to check, as I'm not talking over.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say.
Alrighty, so, my turn. My recommendation is something that I watched 2 nights ago. Yeah, I was gonna say it was last night, but it's my concept of time has been fucked up this week. But anyway, 2 nights
Actually,
ago,
I'm sorry to jump in. I'm really sorry.
I'm not.
I just saw the comment that said the time skip's the worst part of the season. I heavily disagree. The time skip's actually a really good thing in the show because it allows for certain creative liberties that works. The worst part of the season is something begin with R. I'll say that because Sky won't figure it out. But something begin with R and ends with S. That's the worst part, easily. Anyway, continue.
Ruffles. Oh, okay. So my recommendation is Elvis. I watched it Wednesday night in theaters, and it is really fucking amazing. I had everything I heard about it, on like in terms of how it was being made, the way it was edited, all sounded really great to me. But people were very, very upset. I don't know why. People didn't love the film. Well, at least like, well, I think it's kind of split. I think it's kind of a divisive film. But anyway, I think it is a very fantastic film. Not just in terms of the way it tells its story, because I think it's really creative to have Elvis's, I guess he was his manager, be the one like narrating the story. He's played by Tom Hanks, and it is really interesting because of how much of a scumbag he is, and the film knows it. But you kind of get like a lot of character from him and his perspective of what he thinks about the, you know, the events that led to Elvis's death. Like him trying to say, no, you know, see, I was the one that killed him. People just say that because, you know, they're jealous of what I did to him, that I did for him and everything like that. Which is, I think, is really cool. This is not really a spoiler. This is like the first scene of the film. But yeah, no, it was really great. Being someone who loves rock, basically all I listen to is rock. Elvis being, you know, one of the fathers of rock, basically. Or at least made it way more mainstream. You know, bringing the blues, which is a very, you know, black thing, you know, from the black culture, bringing it more mainstream and bringing more attention, and then obviously influencing a lot of the rock stars that we came to know and love over the years. It is a very interesting film. And so yeah, I really loved seeing all that story told, and Austin Butler as Elvis is fantastic. So yeah, I recommend Elvis quite a lot. I think it's a really great film that is getting a lot of flack for absolutely no reason. Oh, also, if it wins Best Editing on at the Oscars over Everything Everywhere All at Once, I wouldn't even be mad. It is that well edited. It's really great.
I'd be mad. I haven't seen it, but I'd just be mad.
I think you'd agree. It's edited like Legion, basically, which you'd think is weird considering it's, you know, a biopic. But it's really interesting because the film is, a lot of it is told from obviously his manager's perspective, but also his perspective, and with how much like his fame was overwhelming to him. I think it is a very interesting decision to do that because it uses the editing really well to showcase how much like his mind was being overwhelmed by everything that was going on around him. So I don't know. I think it's great. Thanks, Chap. Zod, it's your turn. What do you have to say?
I've also watched very little, but I did Jojo Rabbit last week, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
I did not watch the Blacks, no.
You did, unfortunately,
yeah. Yeah. I think what I will say is I watched Scarface like a couple of days ago, or however long ago it was. I've lost track of time.
Wasn't that like 2 weeks ago?
It might have been. Like I said, time's just non-existent to me at this point.
That's fair.
But yeah, that obviously it's not a very new film compared to everything else that's been mentioned. But yeah, it's very good.
Nebby.
Oh,
Jesus
never bad.
Christ.
That's good.
Is it? Anyway,
Yeah.
a Scarface.
Yeah. Al Pacino, just his performance is just, well, it's legendary, basically.
It's
just fantastic. He apparently put like a shit ton of effort into learning the accent as well, which you've got to appreciate that. And yeah, it does just sort of have this sort of authentic vibe. Like very sort of based in like the
Scotland.
politics. Is not based in Scotland. But
Oh.
it is centered around a lot of like the politics of the time, like with Castro and whatnot. It's quite a big part of his character. His escape from Cuba, and it's quite interesting how everything's all implemented, and it's just pretty solid in terms of character and plot. And I try not to say too much, but it's just the premise is something that just interests me, and I think it delivers on it really well, and I quite heavily recommend it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Plus the soundtrack's banging, so
Yes. And
That's what you say to your mum.
fuck, what's her face? She's really hot in
Who's
it. The love interest.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer, yes. She's really hot in it. So that is
She is indeed.
I
yeah.
love how that's your first thought when talking about it, not like any of the
No, I
stories.
had a lot of things to say, but then he said the soundtrack, and I was like, oh yeah, and like I was thinking like a more superficial things, like because like he already talked about the story, but
Cat.
let's talk
Come
about
here,
something
Cat.
more
No, not the
superficial.
keyboard.
What do you? Oh, okay, he's talking to his cat. Anyway, yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer, she's really hot. It's like, yeah, there's a club scene with her that is just like, man, Zod probably knows what I'm talking about.
Stupid distinction. Oh man, you should get raped now.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, Scarface is great. I love that era of like mafia movies, like Goodfellas and all that kind of shit, and Scarface. They're very different, but they all tackle that kind of same area, which I think is very interesting too. A very interesting story to tell. So yeah, I really like it, and
Yeah,
I'm glad Scorsese came back to. I know he didn't make Scarface. My point being that him making Irishman recently, like making a resurgence of this genre, is something I really like because I do like that type of film.
Yeah, it's good shit.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all we have to say before we start talking about the topic of the stream. Good old Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is not old, but it is good. So I was half right there. Jeb, what do you think of Everything Everywhere All at Once? I'm gonna ask you first because
Why me?
there are
Oh.
noises coming from your microphone, and so
That'll
you were
be
on
the-
my mind.
Oh, okay. So I saw it the first time when I met Sky and Neb in London. Don't think Zod and Tim were neglected. They just couldn't come.
No, we
but anyway.
didn't invite them. We never wanted them to be there in the first place. Anyway,
Hey,
go on.
Yeah.
block front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was having like men around the train stations to shoot on sight.
They showed up, yes.
But anyway, so we went to the cinema. I
Jeb,
put the
hold up,
tickets.
hold
It
up,
was
hold
random
up,
cinema,
hold
but
up,
then
Jeb.
watched the film.
Oh, Christ.
What's up?
You cut out for a bit. I'm gonna change the region to Rotterdam, so give me a sec. Hey, folks, now I'm the only one you can hear. Oh, never mind.
Hello, Cat.
Hey, Jeb, now you can say, London. We were in London. We went watch the film. Go on.
So yeah, we went to cinema. Never been to the cinema before. Never heard of it. The seats were weird. Didn't like them. But watched it
Yeah,
there, and then
that
I watched
theater
it a
wasn't
second
great.
time for my birthday with Cara. And both times I had a 10 out of 10 opinion on the film. I think if any writer wants to look at how to do multiverse concepts, that is a shining example, because not only is it logistically sound, which is very hard to do with multiverse, because you deal with basically an unknown area of physics, and there's so much complexity to many universes, obviously, especially in terms of stakes. But also, it manages to nail all the worldviews that would come with understanding a multiverse. So obviously you got Joy's alter ego. I can never remember the name.
Jobu Tupaki.
Jobu Tabaki is based in the I can't say the word.
Nihilistic?
Nihilistic. That's it. Nihilistic individual that believes nothing matters because everything's just a statistic in an infinite multiverse. Whereas you got um,
Evelyn?
Evelyn and I forgot his name. How could I forget
Waymond?
the chap's name? Raymond. Waymond especially, about finding happiness in your current life and doing a simplistic thing. And that just because you're a dot in the infinite multiverse doesn't mean you're any less special. Your life is any less special because it's what you enjoy, what matters for you. And all these contrasting worldviews kind of blend together beautifully, and has equal development to them, and it makes sense how things are resolved in the process. I also love the creativity of it, because after a multiverse, people like to do, well, we just do the same but a tiny little twist. Look how quirky we are. We're the MCU, you know.
Calling out by
Where-
name is very funny.
Whereas this would have, for example, the fucking hot dog fingers that have to learn to use feet, and we find out how evolution came for the hot dog fingers by killing the normal fingers. Or the Rakanui,
Rakakuni.
yeah, Rakakuni. And then we see like all these snippets of different multiverse of where evolution to an infinite amount of things. Raymond is, all of them are, and using that as a way to progress the narrative, and also for the abilities of the characters through statistical anomalies is pretty genius. Because it stops overpowered elements coming in. It does everything right. It does everything I want in a film. It's insane.
I agree.
It's just perfect.
Agreed. Sorry, Baby Elsa dude, also known as Zod. Hi. Barry Allen is telling me to tell you that the Snyderverse is awesome and it's coming back. And he's very happy that Zaslava. What? Zaslava. What's that word? Zaslava. It is bringing back Ben Affleck. So yeah.
Look forward
That's
to that.
yeah. I'm telling you, Baby Elsa dude. You just got pwned. Medvicut is not fair critic. All fair critic points out both pros and cons. What? That's untrue. But all right. Whatever. It's not like we haven't praised the show anyway when we react to it and on ECUM. Medvicut only points out cons, therefore he's a hater.
Oh yeah, it's so amazing. I love watching the show because it's so bad that it pleases me.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's a really funny show. Unintentionally, but you know. Anyway, yeah, Baby Elsa dude. Just so you know, Snyderverse is awesome and it's coming back. It is most definitely 100% coming back because they brought back one actor for a cameo in a film.
It totally isn't there making up for the fact that the Flash is going to come out afterwards. So
Yeah.
it's a fact that it was going to be Keaton in the post-credit scene, and now it's going to have to be Affleck.
Yeah, I know, right?
Totally bringing him back for something else. Totally.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
He's right.
Look, Zack Snyder's coming back because Aquaman film stars Jason Momoa, and he was there when the Snyderverse was there.
Oh, that's
He
a
is
good
coming
point.
back in a grand way. He's coming back in Teen Titans Go.
Exactly. He is coming back. So, yeah, Zack Snyder is actually coming back. So you're right.
He is,
Barry.
yeah.
We're
Well,
sorry.
isn't he gonna voice himself? So
Yeah, he's voicing himself.
yeah. Oh yeah.
As
Speaking
well
of
as-
which, Harley Quinn season 3 first 3 episodes came out. I only had time to watch one episode, but it's really good, and I remember that because there's James Gunn in it, and James Gunn plays himself. So yeah, very good episode so far. Very good season so far. But only watched one episode.
I've never seen someone lose their shit as much as Jeb did when. Yeah, I couldn't hold my laughter.
Oh. So Jeb did when Jenny Slay started to use her dog as a weapon. Yeah, that was hilarious, and I was waiting. Sorry. Okay, we'll get to that. Because we're talking. It's because I asked you for your opinion, and Tinazad hadn't said what they want to say about the film yet. So yeah, Tinzad, what are your thoughts on Everything Everywhere All at Once?
So should I go first?
Oh yeah, I should have asked one specifically. Sorry, my brain. But yeah, you can go first, Tin.
Right. Well, of course, like I heard, like it was like fucking amazing from like you though, because you went and saw it without me.
Yes,
Which
seeing
was-
with you would have been very bad, but because we saw specifically without you there, we loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I watched it because, like you said, because we'd cover it here, and like I gave it a shot. So, and I was fucking blown away because, like, it's the most fucking absurd, batshit crazy, weird film I've ever seen. Like, but it's also one of the most profound fucking things I've ever seen. Like, just ever. Because, like, and because originally I was expecting, no, it's just mainly focuses on the weird sort of multiverse side, how like, and how it does it well, and the mechanics and all that. But I never expected to actually go into the psychology of how one would feel about like infinite universes, which just make one feel small. Because because I kind of like have like because I kind of have I guess like existential depression sometimes around like New Year's or something, because like I know your time is so quick, and like you don't do much in your life, so you know the usual stuff. But like this film sort of calmed it because of a message of enjoy your time, enjoy the little specks of life, which is a great freaking message, and like one that really cut deep for me. And even just without like the batshitness or the profoundness, it's fucking hilarious.
It is.
And I think the scene that like a lot of people have seen is the rock scene, which I just love that scene because it can be like so weird, profound, and also hilarious at the same time, which just sums this film up. And also like was it Chloe? No. Michelle Yeoh. That's who plays Evelyn, right?
Indeed. Who should win an Oscar, by the way, but anyway.
They seriously wasted her on Shang fucking Chi.
Don't tell me about it.
It's just my god.
Oh, speaking of Shang-Chi, did you know that Joy was originally going to be played by Aquafina? Good old Katie herself from Shang-Chi.
Oh man.
So, you see, aren't you so glad that in the infinite multiplicity of the multiverse, we're in the universe where that wasn't what happened? See, we gotta value these few specks of time where we know that our universe isn't the one where Aquafina was in this film.
I would have killed myself.
In that case, I never would have fucking watched it. Just no.
Yeah. Sorry for interrupting you, Tin, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, no. And also, just like again, like the sort of I guess it's sort of like a clashing of ideals of how like I guess with the line "nothing matters," like we'll bring it up later, but like how it's used in two completely different contexts, but it works both ways, which is just something that I really like. Where like both perspectives are kind of valid on like something as grand as a multiverse. So like, of course, they need to go through both of them, and also just Wayman is a like I saw you lot saying like how like Wayman's so amazing. He's like an absolute chad of a character, and I'm like, he can't be that good. I'm sure he's good, but he can't be that good, and he was that good.
Women's the best.
Yeah. Although the most shocking thing is discovering that he's played by the same guy who was Short Round. Like that was the biggest shock of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His part was actually written for Jackie Chan. Funnily enough, but yeah.
Yeah. I can kind of see it. Like he does have a really fun physical stuff, which
Yeah, and the fighting style especially is very Jackie Chan. Especially the fanny pack scene.
yeah, exactly. And also just he does great in the emotional scenes, like the scene where he again we're bringing up the scene in like the actress universe, like that's just damn good fucking stuff. But yeah, like it's absolutely the best freaking multiverse film, or just anything that uses the multiverse just out there. Because I guess like a way that I follow because I watched a film earlier today is that it's kind of the opposite of Multiverse of Madness.
It is. I would agree 100%.
In not just the fact that this one's actually good, but like this one uses the multiverse to tell like a grand story, but it's very personal and it's the way that it executes it. Like it's very much focused on this handful of characters. It's in this one building. As I said, like it's a very grounded story, but it uses like the multiverse as a thing. Whereas Multiverse of Madness is like it's a small story, but it's using the multiverse not to its full effect, just to hop between stuff. Like I guess it's the opposite. Like small scale, big story, big story, small scale. Like that's the sort of thing that went through my mind when watching it. Which the fact that they can actually pull it off, like just in like a smaller scale, is honestly just really fucking impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I fucking adore this film. Like watching this in the Batman like just a couple days after each other is just pure bliss to actually watch good stuff.
Yes. Cinema is not dead, despite what people would have you believe. Yeah. If you don't watch Marvel stuff, cinema is very much still alive.
Exactly. So yeah, this is damn good fucking film. One of the best fucking films ever made. Fucking love it. And now Zod can go.
Yeah, Zod, it's your turn. Talk about this is us. I still don't know what the fuck he meant. Surely it can't be James Wan, right? But anyway, go on.
It has to be. It'd be perfect.
Yeah. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Indeed.
I think. Well, the first thing I have to say to it is it's like a poor man's Multiverse of Madness here. Let's face it.
Fuck you. I mean, to be fair, the film made like 1/10 of the money Multiverse of Madness did, and also cost like 1/10 of the budget, and it is a gazillion times better. So it's interesting to think about. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. It honestly is like it is pretty much the film that Multiverse of Madness like desperately wanted it to be. It takes for starters, it actually uses the multiverse like at all. Like, most importantly, it uses it. I know it's been said before that it uses it to tell just this very personal story about these characters. Just despite the large, just basically the infinite scale of the multiverse, it's still this really personal, meaningful story, and it's just really excellent in how it balances these things. It's one of those films where no matter how much you sort of think you know about it before going in, you're not quite prepared. But I knew I'd heard some of the more wackier stuff before I saw it, and I still wasn't quite ready. Like, there's a difference between hearing about the hot dog finger universe and actually seeing it. Yeah, it's just like it takes these really wacky concepts and not only utilizes them in a really like logically consistent way and it all makes sense, but also has it have like real emotional meaning. Like again with the hot dog fingers universe, just somehow you get a genuine payoff from it. It's like, man, how? Do something like that is absurd. And yeah, characters are obviously just the heart of the film, and just all of them are just so excellent. There's so much to love about each of them. Like, they're just, it's insane how well they're done. Honestly, yeah.
What was that noise,
I
Joe?
agree.
Okay, you're not even gonna
yeah.
explain. That's fine. Go on. So.
Okay. Yeah, it's been said, but Waymond is an absolute legend.
He is.
Just like how easy it is for him to just find joy in all this, in like the more smaller stuff it's just wonderful.
Mazurka has met defeat.
Wait,
His channels only for the cons of the
Yeah,
Flash.
I was gonna
Therefore, he's
say.
not-
I was gonna
Like
save
by
that
the
for
way,
when Zod was done, but yes, Mzduka has indeed admitted defeat.
You make autism seem like it's normal.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Barry Allen
Jesus fucking
is
Christ.
right, like he always is. Yay. So yeah, are you yeah, Zod, finish your thoughts unless you have, but I don't think you have. So finish your thoughts.
Yeah, the other thing that's just consistently brilliant is the comedy. Like this the concept of just doing something that's just entirely out of character for you to jump between universes it makes sense, but it also just it has so much potential for just brilliant comedy and it's always done so well. Just all these different insane ways that people come up with. It's just, man, it's just so brilliant. And yeah, it's just, man, just everything it does, it just does it brilliantly. And of course, there's like stuff like direction and editing, and like I think I mentioned it on Twitter before. Like there's that one part where it's just like flashing between all these just like countless universes with Evelyn.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just all this stuff is just on screen for like half a second. Yeah.
Well, way less. It's literally on screen for one frame, which is 1/24 of a second. Yeah.
And yet they all have this their own personality and have so much work and effort put into them. It's just man.
One that I saw today because I paused and I went frame by frame, just look at a few of them. One that I found hilarious. It was it was like she was at the thumbnail of a video that was released 14 years ago, has 12 views. It's called like Illuminati symbols hidden in films for one frame, and it's funny because the thumbnail has Illuminati symbols and it is in the film for one frame. And I thought that's just a hilarious fucking way to make a reference to that. So yeah, this film is hilarious. I love it.
Just the amount of passion and effort that went into this film is it's ridiculous. It's praised.
Yeah, it's a film where it's literally a point where every frame is relevant to tell the story. It doesn't waste any time for anything. Yeah. Thanks, Jab. It is not Charlie Puth, by the way. FYI.
Can you answer it the next 9 times, please?
No, I think just the once is fine.
I just had a really funny idea. Oh boy.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, everything everywhere all at once. Zod's done, so now I can finally talk because he won't stop hogging the fucking. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, everything everywhere all at once. I love. I love this film. I think it is the best film ever made. Genuinely, don't. I'm not saying that like hyperbolically. Is that a word? It should be a word. It is so fucking great at everything it does, and the way it incorporates its message. Just like so, because I've been thinking, because I say that the entire film. Good job, man. Because you finally said something that makes sense and is right. Yes, you make it clear it's only about hate. Yes, you are MCU enemy. Madvocate is an enemy of the MCU. Alright.
It's all good if you can't watch it right
Yeah,
now.
you can watch it on the VOD later if you're still interested. Do not fret. We will not be angry at you for a long time. Only a short amount of time. That's a joke. I've realized recently that internet people are too dumb to understand it, so I'm trying to make myself clear. I'm joking, okay? You can go and do whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm joking as well when I say you're a cunt. I want to make clear, this is a joke. You are a cunt. I'm joking. It's a joke. I'm joking, mate. It's a joke.
Jeb,
There we go.
can you please? Thank you. All right. So everything
I'm
everywhere all at once.
I'm just scared of Goblin Guy. Okay, I don't want
Oh
him to
yeah,
come and fill my bed.
No, it's fine, Jeb. Look, Jeb, you made this film, didn't you? Everything everywhere all at once. I mean,
I did. Yeah, it was like when I woke up, I had a pee, and the film just came out, and here we are.
it came out instead of your pee. It came out from you. I guess you needed an alibi, and so you said that these people called the Daniels made it. That makes sense. Anyway, everything ever all at once. What I was saying is like how every frame in this film matters, should tell its grander story. What I love for that as an idea is that because the film takes everything that is setting up or just showing at any point to matter for the film, that actually just like the fact that the film doesn't waste time ties in with the theme of the film, which is about how you can appreciate every little thing about life, because if nothing matters, then anything you want to matter will matter. So the film establishes these things, like very small things, like you can see. I think there is another one. There's one that I noticed today when I was watching where they're at the laundromat, and they have this scene where we have the guy dancing, and Wayman is like, "Oh, come see, Evelyn. This guy knows all the moves. He's gonna audition later. He's an actor, just like he wanted to be." And I never noticed that before, but obviously that ties in with the fact that Evelyn wanted to be an actor, and in the other universe, she did become an actor. Which we'll see later in the film, and that ties in with the idea that she has been, she's the version of herself that is a failure out of most of all the versions of herself in the multiverse. She has failed at every opportunity, and that's why she, she's the perfect vessel to embody every Evelyn later in the film. But like these small things are being set up already in the beginning of the film, like with the googly eyes as well, or just when Joy is introduced, she's staring at the washing machine just going round and round, and she looks very empty, I guess. And then we see Becky, her girlfriend, showing up, and she's like peppering her with kisses, and it's like very corny and cheesy the way she's doing it, but it's also kind of heartwarming because of how like happier she made Joy just by showing that little bit of love, which is something that Joy wants, because as Joy, we'll see later in the film about Joy thinking that there are only a few specks of time where anything actually makes sense, and that is one of those few specks of time. And so her being that way, being so loving, being something that would help later in the film when Evelyn is talking about both Waymond and Becky, about the both of them being people who, like, despite how Joy and Evelyn are, their partners can help them, like, see life better, and, like, can actually deal with them and make them happier. Is something that I just find really great. It's just every small detail, everything that is shown in at every second in the film, it helps you either characterize someone or set up some rules about the multiverse, or just explain, or just, like, work thematically with the film. And which is just something I love. Jeb, why?
I didn't do anything.
Was your cat fucking eating a hairball? Was that it?
No, it was my cat summoning the Lovecraftian monster.
So, same thing, really.
Yeah, a hairball could be that.
Yeah. A hairball is a Lovecraftian monster. We should watch Color Out of Space and talk about it on ECUM. I think it should be fun. Anyway, I say that because it's a Lovecraft film. Anyway, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention, because of that, what I've been saying about how, like, everything matters, is something that I mentioned in my video that I released recently on About Time, where I say that, About Time breaks its own rules for the sake of, like, having an emotional scene, whereas Everything Everywhere All at Once, it doesn't just work, despite having consistent rules, but it works because of it, because the rules are consistent. That's how Evelyn is able to come up with the shit that she does at the end of the film, to fight the way Wayman does, as she says it, or by because the rules being consistent are what allows firstly for Joy's ideas of being alone in the universe to prosper, I guess. Because she's connected to every version of herself in every universe. She gives her, like, basically omnipotence. I say basically because it really isn't, but she can control almost anything. And that makes her, like, lose her sense of morality. And so if the rules were contradicted at a certain point, she'd just be like, oh, we want to have this emotional scene where Evelyn is talking to Joy to have her, convince her to stop using her powers, then it would be very cheap. But it uses its rules, and the fact that it is in multiple universes, for example, to have her talk to Evelyn in many universes, like with the Rock universe, or the, main universe one, or not the main, I guess the original universe, and obviously the universe where they're fighting, all of that, and then have them fight, like, throughout universes, so that Joy can actually showcase her point about how pointless it is. And then Evelyn using that to showcase how in every universe, even as a universe as stupid as one where everyone has hot dogs for fingers, we can find something beautiful to love. Like, the fact that they got really good with their feet, or, just the fact that Deirdre actually was able to find love there with Evelyn, and that they could manage to form a connection in that universe despite, I guess, the odds. And how, and, like, I really love how it uses its rules to do that, like its multiverse rules. And it is, like, a batshit insane film, but once you think about it logically, it really does, like, fall together perfectly. It's kind of how I feel about Legion as well, with how it's, like, the way it's made is for you to like, feel an experience first, like, experience it visually and everything first, and then have a understand its mechanics, I guess. It's make sure that everything follows logically second, which I love.
Dude, Doctor Who is trash. Rape yourself.
I mean, he's probably talking about series 11 to 13 because it's SJW, so yeah. Jeb, I swear to God.
That wasn't me, that was my cat. We've established this.
Yeah, but don't
take... He's just coughing up hairballs.
Yeah, but it's not the type of thing that people want to hear when we're doing ECUM. If you could maybe, like...
this remote has a penis, so I just noticed.
Thanks, Jeb. Doctor Who's trash proceeds to watch 162 episodes of The Flash. Well, yeah.
Doesn't need to stick out, it could be soft.
Okay, Jeb. If we spent more time watching movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once instead of garbage like The Flash or Snyder Cut, then we
It's
would
a
be as better
soft
species.
penis.
Nah, The Flash is fun. Don't worry.
That's not. It might be an inverted penis. It might be a slot 4 one. Hello.
Thanks, Jeb.
What do you mean, Jeb? What the fuck?
I thought Jeb cut out. But he didn't finish. He usually does when he cuts out. Anyway, yeah. I agree with what Shandy said. If though partly because I love the Flash. The world would be worse off without the Flash in it. But yeah, now that we've talked about like our general thoughts, if we want to go like more detailed, we can do that because you know what? We can be here for hours if you want to. Introducing this new concept for ECUM where we're gonna stream for more than 1 hour. It's never been done
Oh, I want to
before.
talk about the Flash.
No, you
my
don't.
God.
I know, right? We've never done a stream that's longer than 30 minutes before.
I just sneezed.
Okay, Jeb. Jeb, can you
You're
please
welcome.
explain to me what's so funny about the lady fighting with a dog?
Yes. Yes, I can. So, in the beginning of the film, we have Evelyn tried to sort out the laundromat. She's obviously stressed because everything with her father, Joy, and whatever, and she deals with the customer. And this lady's is talking with her earbuds, and she has a dog, a Chihuahua-looking thing, on a leash. And she goes away. Big nose woman, but she goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Later in the film, when they're dealing with the alpha first version, so doing the whole get this statistical power, she suddenly gets blindsided by the woman with the dog, and the dog is used as a weapon. And she starts swinging around the dog on a leash, like super duper fast. And then when she tries launching it, Evelyn makes it so it's launched into a fridge. And I couldn't stop laughing because it's animal abuse, and that's really funny because it made a yell. And then it came back during the fight, and it got launched across the room by Evelyn cutting the leash. And I just
Yes.
thought, this is meant to be a really tense like fight, and yet you've got me not only tense but laughing and crying. The fact that dog is being used like a rag doll.
And it's great as well because that fight is the one right before the butt plugs.
Yes.
Yes.
The butt plugs is
Thank you.
hilarious. When watching that with my parents, I think they were quite uncomfortable. I was just laughing. It's great.
I'm never uncomfortable when I watch butt plugs.
Of course, yeah. But yeah, no. I guess it's important to give a little bit of context if people are listening to this without having watched the film. Which, by the way, big mistake. You should watch the film. But basically you have to do some random things to be able to connect to other universes and gain abilities from those universes. So what they thought of an idea as to gain new abilities because they had lost theirs by that point because they had hit their heads was to get the best like IRS agent of the month award, which just so happens to look like a butt plug, and shove it up their ass to be able to connect to another universe and regain their abilities that they had lost. And so there's a very interesting fight where they're trying to one of them is trying to get to the butt plug, and Evelyn's trying to stop him. And then he jumps to try to jump on top of the butt plug, and she takes it away from him. It's a great fight. I love it. And it's obviously really funny because it's a fucking butt plug. But what I love is like how that's how it's funny, but it's not doing it without a purpose. Like it's absurdist comedy, like you could see in fucking some like Monty Python, but as opposed to Monty Python, which is just doing it because jokes, which is fine. It is doing it for a purpose. Like there is reason for what they're doing. And I think as well, just the idea that you can find something like that to be like fun or funny or enjoyable, it kind of shows their idea of like you can find meaning, you can find joy in anything out of life, even as something as stupid as that. So I don't know. I
I love
think
him.
he loves. What's
I
Barry
love him
said
so
this time?
much.
It's not a tantun. It's facts. What is facts? The flush is a name spectacular, but not a comedy. Stop. M advocate. Angry face.
And no, I'm not 30. I never said I'm 30. I'm older than 21. I say that without revealing age. Anonymous.
Hashtag anonymous.
Anonymous. Anonymous. Sure. You know what? Good for you.
It sounds like you try to say Among Us and Anonymous.
I was gonna say more that I thought he was speaking French, but it's not with an I, it's with a Y. Because I thought it would be anonymous, as in like I am anonymous, but I guess not. Maybe I was thinking too deeply about that. Yeah, I think I may have thought too deeply about it. It is Barry Allen after all. He has only 2 brain cells. I am hashtag anonymous. Don't mess with me. Yes, anonymous. But yeah, no, the comedy of the film is great. I love, absolutely adore the way it is. It uses its comedy, with tying its absurdity to actually making the story make sense. It is really hard to do something like that. It's the kind of thing where I could see only like Edgar Wright doing as well, and so it really is appreciated. 10. Why did you like Wayman so much? Explain to me in detail.
Oh, well, I guess the reason is because, like, at the start of the film, he's somewhat seen as, I guess, like, a bit too optimistic, sort of bumbling, sort of. I guess he's sort of like a nice guy. That's sort of the thing. Is like he's presented as like a nice guy, but the film sort of shits on him a lot. Where like
Yeah, he's kind of like
everyone says, "Oh, how would he survive without me? How has he lasted this
yeah,
long?" And all that stuff.
he's a dunce with a good attitude, and so the film's kind of like, it seems at least like the film is shitting on him by that point. Yeah.
And like, whereas like, and as the film and as the film progresses, you just sort of learn more and more of why he's like that and why he loves just the simple life with Evelyn. Like, just the entire scene in like the actress universe where he says, he'd rather have a simple life, just in a small apartment paying taxes."
Yeah. Well, the one thing I love is actually before that, when Evelyn says, you know, if you get married, we're just gonna live a small life on a fucking failing laundromat, and dealing with taxes. And he says, "Don't give me hope." And I'm like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? When I first watched that, I was so confused about what that line meant. Once you think about like who Waymond is, that line makes perfect sense with his character. Sorry, go on now.
Yeah. And also one scene that sort of broke my heart, like on the second rewatch, is like it's the first scene like after Evelyn comes back from the actress universe, and she says, "Oh, I could have been a somebody. I could have been a famous actor if I didn't marry you and go with you." And you just see his face of utter just you see his utterly broken face, and you just.
What I love is always is that she doesn't just say, "I could have been an amazing actress," and leaves it at that. She says, "Oh, hey, Waymond, it was beautiful. I wish you could have seen it." It's like, oh, oof.
Yeah, it's just really rubbing the salt in the wound, just shitting on Waymond in the beginning of the film. It's just you kind of get the feeling of stop it, leave him alone, please, at the start of the film.
Mm-hmm.
But like, even and like at the end, he's what like, I guess inspires her
to fight his way.
Yeah, by his way, fight his way, like, which is what gets her to fight everyone just by giving them hope, I guess, and like like how she tells Deirdre, "Oh, you're loved," and like
Yeah, boys.
reminding the other guy of his wife and getting the other two married. Like Wayman plays like a really fucking big part of her journey from going, I guess, from cynical to much more his way optimistic.
Yeah, which you know, her what she says about like the enjoying the small things in life comes from Jesus Christ, Jeb. It comes from like, you know, what, because like from the first moment we see Wayman, we see him trying to be like, you know what, you're busy right now, we can talk later when you have time, okay? And then he's helping her deal with the fucking making the food, and then talk about like her dad, and instead of being like, oh, you know, your dad, and like she seems like she doesn't really have a great relationship with her dad by that point, which, you know, we learned that she doesn't. Her dad basically disowned her. We having that as seeing that, the way he deals with it is just say like, oh, but he's gonna see that you built a very happy life here, you know, a very happy marriage, and then she says, oh, you know, he's not gonna see that, and then Wayman's like, but it's what you see, isn't it? Because what matters is like what she sees in her own life, and what Wayman is trying to do is just calm her down because she's so focused on what her dad thinks of her, which she also overcomes by the end of the film, which is a great like side arc she has. But the way that he inspires her so much throughout the film without you even realizing it, and how he uses the googly eyes to symbolize it, I think is just beautiful. Because like the first time we see him, we see that he's put googly eyes on like everything. He puts in the fucking washing machine, then she takes it off, and then she in the clothes that he put inside their home, because there's no space for them in the at the laundromat.
They're happier.
Yeah, they're happier there. and then when she, well, yeah, he fucking says, oh, I put the clothes there because there was no space, I think they're happier there. Then when she gets the clothes, it's like, see, I think they're happier here. And it's just so silly. Jeb, that was you, that was not your cat.
That was the cat.
No, it wasn't. I know you, Jeb. But anyway.
Aw.
Yeah, how he says that, it's like the googly eyes is the perfect way to symbolize that idea that he just finds happiness and he's so optimistic about life, like regardless of a situation, like even though they're being audited, he doesn't care, he's having a good time. And because the googly eyes like showed that kind of like playful side of him, where it's like, oh, I'm, you know, just fucking doing laundry, but I'm still having fun with it. And, you know, with him dancing with the guy, Jab, can you stop? Dancing with the dude, you know, the actor and shit. It's just, it's really heartwarming once you think like back on it, because it's not just like, oh, he always like has his mind on something else. He's always like, you know, like trying to have fun and not taking anything seriously. But then you realize, I don't know, the way he does it, like he gets the job done at the laundromat at the end of the day. But when, you know, he's still finding ways to enjoy it, to enjoy even these small things of life. And it's really heartwarming. I love Waymond. You okay, Jeb? Are you alright?
Can't I just put in chat that all the cats are sleeping?
And I said the Jeb be gross. Oh, Kara, thank you very much for telling us that.
And I just went, meow.
Yeah, no, I heard you saying meow. I just ignored you. So yeah. So anyway, Tin, you were gonna say something.
Oh yeah, like how the googly eyes like symbol. I guess like just like I guess like symbolize like Wayman's sort of childlike nature, and like how like he looks on like I guess like the bright side, but like wants to get the job done, that sort of thing, and like how at the end it's like comes full circle with Evelyn like turning a bullet into a googly eye and just sticking it on her head.
Yeah, as she's fighting like Wayman. Jeb, can you please? I swear to God. Fighting to fight like Wayman, she embraces that side of Wayman that's playful, and so she sends one of the googly eyes to at her dad, and he grabs it and he says it's so stupid. But by that point you're like, yeah, it's stupid, but that's why it's so fun. It's like something that's so little, but that like means a lot once you think about what it means for Wayman as a character. And I just really love that. Jeb, you said especially that you really love Waymond. What do you have to say about the things we've said or are you just not paying attention?
I'm phasing in and out. I'm basically in agreement of Raymond. I think he is one of the best
It's
characters
Wayman, not
written in
Raymond,
fiction.
by the way.
Sorry, I don't speak Lisp. But
Sure.
Waymond. I think he is one of the best written characters in fiction, and it's mainly because you kind of get agitated that he's seen as the punching bag. I've said this before. I hated that he was just a punching bag because he seemed like such a nice guy, and he's just pushed to the wayside. But then all along there were clues throughout that he was going to be the key for Evelyn's motivation to help save everything, and that his worldview makes a difference to anyone, and it's a worldview that often people forget about the world or even the universe or the multiverse, whatever you want to believe in. That the simplest things in life can be the most satisfying, and despite that, maybe you won't get to be super famous, whatever. The life you have currently, with the people you have, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, he's just a Chad all the way through. Like his speech, and Evelyn realised it. It's like, oh, it's 10 out of 10 stuff.
Yeah,
So,
when he
but
says,
yes,
"Can
he's
we
getting
just
the
stop
recognition.
fighting?" Because like I don't know why any of this is happening. I feel like it's my fault, but why can't we just stop fighting? Why don't we just love each other? And Evelyn's like, "Huh, that's weird." Like it's such a fucking foreign concept for her. That she would just stop fighting by that point because it's like, no, we've been fighting all this film. There's nothing else we can do. They're trying to kill me. We're trying to kill them. And when you think about why they're fighting, it's like it's all because of Joy, which is Evelyn's daughter, and how they need all they need to do is really like show Joy that, I guess, love or an understanding of how the world can be beautiful despite its how small we are, in comparison to the universe. So Women turns out to be right, which is awesome because yeah, Women is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, and like even Alpha Women, he's a lot like that. And I do really love how they have this they have the resolution with her dad be kind of tied with it, where where obviously Evelyn really learns that the value of Waymond in her life, and coming from that, she uses his ideals, his point of view, to convince Joy and everything, but understanding that, like, no, you know what, I immediately leaving you trying to abandon me, that's not something I'm going to do with Joy, because I understand that even if I don't like any a decision she's making, like she says, you are getting fat and you never listen to me, or you only come here when you need something, we never talk anymore and shit like that, like she's still gonna love her because she's her daughter, and so she is going to help her any way she can, and even if her dad didn't want to do the same to her, which has that resolution of her finally standing up to her father, who she's been trying to please the entire film, despite him not approving of basically anything she's done ever. So it really just ties it all together for like a perfect message of Evelyn learning like the value of life and learning how much she loves her daughter, which is something that she was struggling with throughout the film. I mean, she always loved Joy, but understanding that Joy is how do I put this? That Joy, I guess she is that person. She has that point of view about like being nihilistic, and she was trying to justify like, oh no, it's Joe Butapaki putting that kind of shit in your mind, and not like, yeah, that's how Joy is, and you gotta show her that love and appreciation for her to understand that regardless of how big the universe is, you can still find joy, pun intended, of course. Don't call me comrade, please. I hate the word and I hate communism. I am a capitalist. Hashtag subscribe to Peter Schiff.
If he hates communism, why did he call Madvocate Matchvocat?
You see, because he hates Madvocate too. It makes perfect sense.
Ah.
Who the fuck
Yeah.
is Peter Schiff? Who's that?
Let me find
I
out.
don't know.
American stockbroker, financial commentator, and radio personality. He's CEO and chief global strategist of Euro Pacific Capital Link, a broker dealer based in Westport, Connecticut. Good for him, I guess. Oh, he has a YouTube channel. He's probably the best, yeah. I'm being ironic, okay, guys? But don't tell Barry. Shit. All right, I tried to find things to say. I thought Jab would have more to say, but unfortunately, Jab has been paying attention to Barry Allen a lot in the chat, so that's fine.
Oh, he's been on Joe Rogan.
Comrade. I mean, that's just based. What? No, okay. I just received a message from Xbox. I apologize for that sound, guys, if you heard it through stream. Zod, do you have something you want to say? I don't have a specific question now. What do you think about Waymond? Do you have anything you want to add about Waymond? Because I think we might have said everything already, but who knows?
I think Waymond's pretty much been covered. Just that outlook he has and how it affects Evelyn and just what it does to the plot. It's all really brilliantly implemented. And I wish he was my husband.
Based.
You know what? Yeah, that's based. Yeah, alright. Zod, what do you think about Joy as a character?
Terrible.
You're not Zod.
Yeah, she's too fat, I'm afraid. I can't like her. Yeah, she's just like all the other characters. She's just brilliant. Just like pretty much right from the start, you see this relationship she has with Evelyn. Like Evelyn's more judgmental, I guess.
Definitely, yeah.
But she's got a girlfriend and she's.
Yeah.
I'm glad you agree with that.
Yeah, she does have a girlfriend. Thank you, Jab. I thought there'd be some contention there, but now that Jab agrees, we can move on. Yeah, she does have a girlfriend.
Yeah, she's she just wants to be sort of open about it and just sort of free to be who she is and just to live her life, but she's just sort of not getting that at all. Like just constant judgment from her mum and having to worry about her granddad as well in terms of coming out because what it'll do to him. And
well, the one thing that I find really interesting as well is because in the beginning of the film, Evelyn calls Becky him, seemingly by accident. She even corrects herself and she says, "Oh, it's because English not my first language and everything like that." But considering Becky, as is established in the film, Becky and Joy have been together for 3 years. I think it's just such an interesting detail to mention that, and that she continues to misgender Becky, even if it is by accident, which it proves that kind of close-mindedness of Evelyn and how that would affect Joy. So much so that even that when Jobu Tupaki shows up, and Evelyn's like, "Oh, see, you're the reason why my daughter has all those thoughts, including her thinking she likes girls." And then the music cuts off and Jobu Tupaki is like, "Wait, you're still hung up on the fact that I like girls in this universe?" And I just love that because it's just like, yeah, why would you? You think like that's a bad thing, and she's obviously more conservative. But by the end of the film, her accepting it as she accepts Joy for who she is, really works really well, in that sense.
It's loads of little things like that that just sort of add to it. Like I said, with just accidentally saying him
Mm-hmm.
Like if she was like properly accepting and all that, it's not something you're going to slip up on, especially like all those years later.
Yeah.
But yeah, just she does slip up because that's not secretly in her mind. That's what she sort of wants for Joy to be with a man.
Yes.
And yeah, it's just great that how it's handled for Joy. And like I said, it's like Evelyn just sort of convinces herself that it's Jobu
Tupaki.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It puts all those thoughts in Joy's mind, but it's just part of her, and also the fact as well that Jobu Tupaki in the first place was created because of what Evelyn, in another universe, because of what Evelyn did.
Yeah, she pushed her daughter too far, yeah. Which again ties in very nicely with the main universe, with how Evelyn keeps pushing her daughter too far. She's asking too much from her daughter when, all her daughter is asking back, at least in that moment, is to, for her mother to be accepting of the fact she has a girlfriend after 3 years. Yeah.
Exactly. It comes together really well thematically. And then sort of it gets to around the end where Joy just essentially ends up wanting to cut contact entirely because it's just not working. But then of course you get Evelyn going through this arc, and eventually she finally does sort of come round and accept it, and even helps her to come out to her granddad, and it's just really beautifully handled. And yeah, it's just a really neat little arc. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I really love as well, because it's like we talk a lot about representation in media on ECUM. I think it's a topic we've covered quite often, just because of how our podcast is a bit diverse. If you hadn't noticed, even though we all sound like young white guys, we're not, we're not.
Yeah, I'm black.
Yeah, Jab is black. She's not, by the way. I feel the need to clarify these things after Goblin Person on the.
I'm blacker than the Jew's ashes.
Okay, so then
I'm kidding.
Yeah, so it's a topic we've talked a bit about, and we always mention how representation is always going to be good. Just to have representation in general, but there's a good way to handle your representation and a bad way, I guess. And when you have something like Joy being a lesbian, and the fact that she's a lesbian is completely fine for her. Like, she has no internalized homophobia or anything like that, and Becky never faces homophobia or anything. It's more so Evelyn feels afraid because of societal pressures that are based on her dad. Because of what she knows of her dad being someone very conservative, so conservative that he, basically disowned her when she left to go live with Waymond. And it's something that, when you think about it, it's like, it could be for genuine anything, and her being gay isn't treated as like, oh, it's this completely like weird thing. It's like, no, it's normal, and she's gay, and that's fine. But it's also something that makes sense to have, like, dealing with her as her part of her character, because of what we know about Evelyn's dad from her past, which we see from the flashback sequence when she puts on the earpieces for the first time. And I really love that as, like, really, I'd say it's like the ideal way of doing representation of that kind, where it is natural, it is subtle, I guess, in a sense, where it's like, it's not the attention of the film, but it's also not dealt with as if it's like, a bury your gaze kind of thing, which I really love. I like representation, but too much happens. Like, I feel like Batwoman season 3 had way too many black people win it. You know what?
Knows I'm not racist. I love black people, but damn.
Everyone knows you're. That's true. Everyone knows you're not racist. What do you think about Iris, by the way? Do you like Iris, Barry? Completely unrelated question. Anyway,
The show is called Batwoman, not female Luke Cage or Vixen. It weirds me out. That sounds a bit racist, Barry Allen.
what? Not female Luke Cage. What? But what Batwoman being black? What does that have to do with Luke Cage? The Batwoman just means that there is a woman under the cowl. And there is a woman. It's Ryan, whatever her name is. Anyway, yeah, Joy. I had something I wanted to say in regards to what Zod said. I completely lost my train of thought now because I went on the tangent about representation. But yeah, no, I really love Joy. I think she's a really great character. I think she's kind of an underrated part of this film. Because she plays the main villain, but it's also something where like she has a lot of character, and her like redemption in quotation marks comes from like, I guess, understanding that her nihilism, it can lead to like understanding the beauty of the universe, which I don't know if you're gonna agree with me, Zod. You might. It's something that I feel like is the same for Maeve's character in Sex Education, because she is very much in that show very nihilistic, and she puts on like a pessimistic front, but she is a lot like that person, like I guess Evelyn is by the end of the film, where she, can find beauty in everything, and why she's, a writer, and why she's so good at writing is because she can like understand that her place in the universe is so small and so insignificant that she can find, I guess, meaning in it.
I can agree with that. Yeah, that definitely lines up.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah, I say that because I'm at the beginning of season 2, and there was a scene that made me think, that's a lot like Joy. That's not racist. Kate Kane in the comics is white. Yeah, but she's not Kate Kane in the show anymore. Kate Kane died, and then she got brought back because that show's stupid. Her supporting cast is mostly white. Okay, what's the problem with race changing? Got rid of Kate. No, the show didn't get rid of Kate. The actress left, but Kate was actually brought back, and she was played by a white actress. So, oh yeah, Jacob left by the end of the season 2, right? And the show white to black ratio was way too low. You know what? I'm not gonna comment on that. I think that's just kind of self-evident. But sorry, go on, Tim.
Just in okay, Ryan Canal.
Right. I mean, this does sound like the kind of thing that Geeks and Gamers would say, to be fair.
Like, oh, there's too many good black people in this show.
Yeah, in the Batman, there are too many good black people compared to very few good white people. I mean, it's not like the main character is a good white person in the Batman, right? It's not true.
Yeah, he's clearly not white. He's not paler than the fucking moon.
I guess, potentially Ryan Kinno would say that Batman is like not viewed as moral in the film, which is true. By the end is when he's moral. But I think it's kind of missing a lot of nuance. But I guess he would say that to justify how he would say that, oh, you see, even the main character who's white is treated as a bad person just because he's a white guy. Anyway, ignoring Geeks and Gamers, because everyone should, it should talk about Joy. I remember the thing I was going to mention is how I was mentioning all the little details in terms of setting up characters and everything like that. Sorry, I can't. Ryan Kinno is my favorite Geeks and Gamers member, actually. I love how tough he is. I wanted to move on, but then right after he says that, Jesus, Barry. Jeb, are you alive? Oh, you are alive.
Oh, Ryan, oh no.
White Dragon and Red Skull are misunderstood characters. Barry, what do you think about White Dragon from Peacemaker? I'm sure you agree with a lot of his views. So funny. Anyway, what I wanted to mention when Zod was talking about Joy and what I finally remembered and then didn't have the chance to say for like 10 minutes because we were dealing with Barry's racism, is that one of the things I love is how like her nihilism doesn't just come out of nowhere. It isn't just a Jobu Topaki thing. Topaki, I think. The first time she shows up in the film, she's staring at the washing machine and it's going around and around. And there's very like melancholic music playing, and you can see how like hopeless she looks. And that's, that's already like hinting at her nihilism, her idea of not being, of how the world is so pointless. Like she's fucking staring at a washing machine and kind of wasting her time there. And until Becky shows up, that's what she does. I think that speaks a lot about her character already. Just in that one moment, and then obviously afterwards when she's talking to her mom, and her mom is talking about how, not telling her grandpa about her being gay because of what that would do to him, and she says, oh, then my mom says like, oh, I can't tell my dad because my granddad, because it would kill him, but also I shouldn't tell him, and then he's gonna die anyway, so what's the point? And then her mom is like flabbergasted at that, and we have women being like, oh, and Becky says, oh, it's a joke, and Raymond's like, well, that's not a very funny joke, honey. Which is hilarious to his delivery. But my point being more of like that point of view of being very fatalistic and very hopeless is shown from her throughout the entire film. And it isn't just the thing that comes from Jobo Tupaki, because if it did, then it would contradict the idea that, Jobo Tupaki isn't the one causing these things. It's just who Joy is. But the film, no, it does pay attention to that, and it leaves little hints, despite the opening of the film not being, a lot about her. It is very much, about Evelyn and establishing her situation in that world. So it is done really, really well. Jab, do you have high hopes for the new Black Panther film?
No. Not because obviously they're dealing with a very difficult situation. It's Marvel at this point. I do think they'll deal with the difficult situation with dignity, and that's the highest praise I could give it.
Did you watch the trailer? I heard it's good.
I like the trailer a lot, but I think I like the original Black Panther trailers anyway, and I hate the film. So.
I mean, that's fair. I think everyone cites the Suicide Squad trailer as as part of that trend of like, oh, the trailer was great, but the film itself was garbage. Because the way they used Bohemian Rhapsody was really, really fun, but then the film came out.
How do you have Hills versus Baby second place?
How do you have anyone at any place?
Yeah.
They should all be at the bottom. Love Black Panther. Wait, what? How?
That's a plot twist.
What?
Okay.
What? You love Black? What? You do know that the villain of that film, who's proven right by the end, wants to genocide white people. Unless you think he isn't proven right by the end, then that makes sense. I did not expect that. You know what, Barry? You're full of surprises. It kind of seems like those people are like, I'm not racist, I have a black friend. It's like, Barry, I'm not racist, I like Black Panther.
I'm not racist, I like Black Panther.
Yeah, it's just logic, it makes perfect sense. At any rate, yeah. Joy, well, I guess, because we've talked about Evelyn, I guess tangentially, if you'd like to talk about her, like, more in depth, though I may have mentioned a lot of it already, but who knows? Tin, what do you think of Evelyn? What do you have to say about Evelyn, Kwan, in the film?
Well, I really I really like the arc she goes through of like sort of accepting that, yeah, her time and
I love his engines in Tumor Mine.
Did you say something, Jim?
Yeah, Barry just went how he, despite the genocide, he loves how tough Killmonger is, and he's relatable.
His energy is in tune with yours. That is worrying.
Okay. Seek help, a psychiatrist.
Yeah. I guess it's because Killmonger wants to genocide white people. Barry wants to genocide black people. So their energy is just like same wavelength, but it's reversed. Same frequency, but it's reversed. Anyway, yeah, Tid, you were saying about Evelyn, her arc.
How her arc is going from, I guess, just sort of like living day to day and just sort of hating the life she's in because that's how because she ran away with Raymond.
Yeah, she thinks she's
And
trapped in this life. Yeah.
yeah, and how her daughter, I guess, hates her, and how like just trying to, I guess, fit like her daughter into this box called the right, which they bring up, where like she tries to justify her conservatism with, oh, because of my father,
Mhm.
like her, to sum it up, her life doesn't seem very good. Like that's the sort of like going from that, and then I guess accepting that your life could have been much more, like the smallness and the hand you've been dealt is more than enough to live a good life. Is like, I guess, like the message that sort of she learns through Waymond and Joy, which is one that I love because, like, again, the message of how accepting how small you are and how like your time is a bit of a fleeting moment, but you have to enjoy and love and cherish the sort of time you have, which is just one that I really freaking love.
Mhm. Yeah. You know, as you said, like, it's not that her life is bad in the beginning. It's that she thinks it is because she thinks she's trapped in it, and she's always trying to do other things. Which is part of why, you know, when they're being audited, she brings all those fucking receipts and it's like of things she wants to be. She wants to be a fucking Watson instructor or a singer or a singing coach or everything that Deirdre says there. But obviously, she isn't that. She wants to be, but she isn't. And you know, she thinks she's wasted her life by not having that ability to be that, to be those things she's dreamed of being. But to accept that, you know what, our life's pretty good. Is like women said, I would have been happy just the women in the actor universe being like, you know, I would have been happy just doing laundry, and doing taxes with you, you know, because it's life doesn't need more than that. If you have these people who love you, you can enjoy it without thinking like on such a narrow-minded and I guess selfish point of view from Evelyn, because life is beautiful the way, you know, she has it, but she just really struggles to find that beauty because of how she feels trapped by her father and by Waymond, and so much so that she well, by Waymond from like taking her away from her family and then starting the laundromat that's failing, and so it kind of like makes her think that she's, you know, being her life is this trap of doing things she doesn't like, just to try to, you know, find comfort at the smallest amount of comfort, which she hasn't found in ages, which is why I love how the swim is divided in 3 chapters of everything everywhere and all at once. And the everything, when it shows up, it is when she's dealing with the all those papers on our desk, and you know, trying to deal with the customers, and then Waymond obviously, who was trying to give her the divorce papers and everything like that, and then being like, this is the point where we are with Evelyn. She is dealing with everything, and even if it isn't like literally everything, it feels like it is from her point of view, because it is just too much for her to deal with. And you know, her too much to deal with, having those receipts that she's trying to justify, you know, the karaoke machine, shit like that, to justify those purchases to the IRS, being like that it is part of her trying to find something out of life, even if she can't have it. Is part of that everything. It's her looking for something more when there are still there's still a lot that she can appreciate about her, you know, small life in this universe. So yeah, I do really love that as well. Yeah, what do you think about Evelyn?
Uh, she's a character. In all seriousness, she's excellent. She she's one of those characters that people, when doing media analysis, likely draw to the conclusion that she's a bad character because she has negative traits, rather than assessing that her negative traits are crucial to her character arc to become better, basically.
Mm.
It's like, why can I root for this character when they have, for example, the societal pressures and they're not supporting their daughter as much? or they're not very kind to their husband. And yet, despite those negative character traits, it plays with such nuance and understanding. You could see where her point of view is from, despite not being on board with it. And you can also see how other universes tackled that to gain more perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I think seeing this specific Evelyn is crucial to understand that despite what everyone demands of you, despite the overwhelming sensation you may feel, despite everything, you can still be happy, still have success. Just because everyone perceives everything you're doing as failures, quote unquote, doesn't mean there are failures. I mean, for example, having a husband and a daughter isn't a failure. I just think she's an excellent character and a great embodiment of normalism versus sensationalism.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, one thing that I love as a small detail is when she is in the actor universe and then her like kung fu instructor shows up when she's talking to Waymond, and she's like no distractions, and she doesn't let she takes her away from talking to Waymond there. It's kind of like, yeah, you may have become a famous actress in this world, and as Evelyn in the main universe said, that she is that it was beautiful. There are obviously also like its limitations. No, style of life is without its cons, and that is one of them. Is that she has kind of like made herself by following her instructor. She made herself disconnected from anyone because she wanted to achieve that success. And one thing I love is how it that's visually told by the to the audience. It's not like, because when she grabs her instructor grabs her hand and tells her she get out of there. We see handcuffs on her hands because in the main universe, or the universe that we follow, she's being arrested by the cops, and so there are handcuffs on her. But I do really really love that we have that visual. It, like, it is very subtle, I guess, in that sense, but it is really great to just like have that visual metaphor and also have it make sense in the main universe. So yeah, I really do love that, because the film understands that having this life, having like everyone watching the film loving it when they're in the theater, but also showing how like she still has to face some limitations in that life. How she was never with Waymond, and that could have made her life better. Or even if she did try to get with Waymond in this world, it would be very, she would have to face a lot of adversity because of the life she chose. And so maybe the life she did choose in the main universe, it isn't bad. It is just another version of her life, and that weighing up the ups and downs, who knows which one is better in like an objective sense. More so, each life has its own values of pros and cons, and you gotta deal with the hand you're dealt, which obviously ties in with the theme of the film and what she learns from Raymond. So the way this film shows the different universes to showcase that point is just beautiful, because as Jeb said, she's like the embodiment of normality, and so having that message come because of her character arc, it's really great because her character is basically the message that the film is trying to show. Even though obviously her character isn't everyone in the world, she does symbolize like that general person who has the idea of wanting everything, wanting success, wanting her life to be perfect, and always trying to achieve that, but it kind of blinds you to what you already have, and how choices you've made before, they may impede you from achieving something that you want more out of life, but that doesn't mean that your life is something to just ignore, it, because it has its value. So it is really great. Yeah. Zaw, do you have anything you want to say about Evelyn? Next time I'm not gonna leave you last, because I think I think I spoke way too much as well as the others. So yeah, what do you think about Evelyn? Unless you don't have something else to talk about.
I think she's just, well, yeah, she's a wonderful character, and she's the best sort of protagonist you could get out of a film like this. Just it must have been said, but just there's so much that goes into her characterization, just like tiny little details and overarching stuff. It all comes together to sort of give this arc where she finds some appreciation for the life she has, and it's wonderfully done. Like near the end, like there are a few times where she nearly just gives in. Like she nearly just goes into the bagel, and so yeah, fine.
Oh, yeah, there's a moment where she's going to go into the bagel, but she sees that Wayman is talking to Deirdre, and she keeps jumping back to that universe as Joy is being like, you know what, let's go in the bagel.
Exactly. She just finds these little things to appreciate, like Wayman, and it's wonderful. And also, like more nearer to the end is when she nearly agrees to cut off contact from Joy, and
yeah,
she
for them to
starts
just go
to
their separate ways.
she starts to walk away. The rock falls off the cliff. It's like it gets very close, but then she turns around and well, no, but things can be different. But again, she learns to be more accepting. I think that's just like the general sort of theme for it, just accepting of the life she has, accepting of her daughter. Just just a lot is put in to make all that work, and it's masterful.
Yeah, it's a very good point actually. Well done. You talk way too much during the flash reactions, Kai. We'll not be watching anymore. We'll leave just the dislike. Damn. For the last 2 episodes, because they're the ones we still haven't recorded, I just won't talk at all. I'll leave it for Tin, because I know Tin loves talking, so she's gonna be the one to introduce everything and talk about the show. Yeah, don't you love talking? You talk all the time. Never shut you up.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, yeah. What you said about Evelyn, I really love how they also use the visual of the rocks, and then I think the rocks especially is my favorite one. Where she puts the fucking googly eyes on the rocks, so she would be like, nothing matters, so we can do whatever we want. And so she puts the googly eyes. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna come to get you." It's so silly. And then we have, but then we have Joy as she decides, I am actually gonna jump in the bagel, and she says, "You know what? It's just not working this life." And Evelyn lets her for a while, and the rock falls off. But then what happens is she tries again to talk to Joy, and what she does is that her rock, jumps after Joy's, and it's just like such a beautiful visual to represent that when she's like going into the bagel to grab Joy and be like, you know what, I'm not gonna let you go before I say this, before I let you understand that regardless of everything, I still do love you. And we, despite how our life may be not perfect, there's still many things to love. And so like the visuals represent that idea are just way too good. Barry Allen, absolutely, of course you agree with that, Barry. Of course you do. But yeah, no, I adore the way they showcase that ending of her arc with her talking to Joy, and how they have like that montage of like things colliding, like they have 2 planets fucking colliding, and then obviously the rocks hitting each other, and then it just ends with them hugging, so little, like it, because it becomes so grandiose, but it ends on something so personal, which is that hug, which it means a lot for both of these characters. And at the end of the day, the story is about these characters. It isn't about like the multiversal war, everything's at stake. Because if it was, then they would just let she would just let Joy die because she was the only threat to the multiverses. But no, the actual stakes are very personal. The end of the multiverse is really what matters anymore, because they know that Joy doesn't want to destroy the multiverse anymore. And so, yeah, I don't know. I really love that. I really, really love how personal he becomes and how he uses the visuals to symbolize that in that moment. Just, tying it in with what you said, Zod. Which, sure, let's ask this. Zod, what did you think? I'm asking you first this time. What did you think of the rock scene? The first time we see them as rocks. What do you think about that?
It's quite a bizarre experience. Just two sentient rocks talking to each other on an empty planet. So, yeah, sure, why not? We're here now. But it's quite creatively done. Like, obviously, they wouldn't have voices because, they're rocks. So,
yes.
The only way they communicate is just through, just see text on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's quite creative in terms of filmmaking, and visually it's surprisingly great looking as well. Just two rocks on the edge of a cliff, and so this is stunning. And yeah, you also get just a surprisingly meaningful conversation out of it as well between these two.
Mm.
And it is honestly where are we at? We're getting a really deep life conversation between two rocks, and it's actually emotionally impactful. It's what's happening? But it is honestly just one of the best things in the film, really. One of the best scenes. Just it really works somehow.
Yeah. I it might be just my favorite scene in fiction, just in general. That scene. The meaningful conversation, everything. And because of that, I want to be the last to talk, because I don't want to talk over everyone. Jab, what do you think about that scene? I know you really liked it, especially because of how it uses the statistical inevitabilities of the infinite multiverse to make it exist.
I really like the scene because it manages to capture a worldview that you could write hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages on exploring it into a 2-minute scene, I'd say, with just subtitles and silence. Small everything is and how it is, understanding it. You're basically a statistic, you're a mathematical probability, and you're so inferior, well, not inferior, but you're so nothing to how expansive it is, that it's just knowing that it's lonely.
Mm-hmm.
I just find it amazing, and to see Evelyn almost go along with it, it's also quite captivating to see, because it's the first time that her and her daughter have really got along. And obviously this acts as set up for the fact that Joy still wants to just end it and not deal with it anymore. And the payoff of Evelyn always still trying to help her anyway, and not giving up on her, making her see just because you're a statistic doesn't mean you're nothing. It's these two polarized worldviews just clashing with each other. It's such a peaceful manner. It's quite masterful.
Well, you're wrong. about something you
Oh.
said, because it isn't two points of view clashing. The point is that Joy convinces Evelyn, because Evelyn by that point had become, scattered, and she was showing Evelyn the multiverse, and like you said, not almost going along with it, she does like fully end up going along with it by that point. The clashing of the worldviews comes after, but what the rest of what you said is true. So well done.
Also,
Yay.
there's not any music in that scene either, is there?
No, it genuinely
silence.
is just ambience noises, which I love.
Yeah.
It's something I was gonna mention about it, is because I love the way it is just two rocks, and we get that wide shot and the, I guess, shot and reverse shot of them, the close-ups, and all you get are those, and the idea of it, and having that, the ambience noises be the only sound you hear, that wind whistling and everything. It adds to the idea of what, not only what Joy is talking about, but what she says, in terms of how she comes there sometimes just to like get away from it all, because it is a place where, because there is nothing in that in that world, the like its stillness, it can be felt, of like when everything is so loud, by experiencing everything everywhere all at once, she can come to this place and kind of like chill and be like away from all of it, which also shows how there you can indeed like enjoy things despite that kind of nihilistic point of view. But it's something that Joy hadn't realized yet. But it is really great to show that in like the way it is shot, by having like that wide shot showing just like this vast empty field with nothing, as they're on the edge of a cliff, and only having the the ambience sounds, and not music or anything, to like be very still and very calm after all that montage we've seen, of like seeing that contrast, and having a moment, not only in the script of like the story of it being more chill and having two characters talk, but just in universe, having these characters not have to deal with everything all at once, and actually having a time to reflect on what experiencing everything all at once means. Because it is one thing to be those kind of beings as they are in this universe, in this multiverse, that they have these powers. It's another thing to talk about what it means for you, like see how that would change your point of view, because that's something I love as well about Legion, and I won't spoil this for anyone listening to it right now, so don't worry. But how David's powers, because of their nature, because of how powerful he is, how that changes his mentality throughout the show, and every mutant in that show, their powers completely relate to their state of mind during the entire show. And the show doesn't just like, oh yeah, they have these powers and they're these characters, and like what the show does, and what Everything Everywhere All at Once does, is you have, no, they have these powers, therefore this is their character, this is how one relates to the other, because they're obviously going to be interconnected, because their powers are a part of who they are. It's something in Legion they've experienced their entire lives. In this film they've been experiencing, I guess, for a day, but experiencing so much in this film and having these abilities, it would make you question your worldview so much, your sense of what reality is, and your place in the multiverse. And so it is just really great to have that moment of them reflecting on it, just like on a principle level of, yes, it is great to have that, but it's also great the way it's done. And Tin, you can go before I talk, because otherwise I'm going to talk about everything in that scene. So yeah, Tin, what do you have to say about that scene?
So, the rock scene, right?
Rock scene, yes.
Yeah, I fucking love that scene. It's probably my favorite scene in the whole film.
Mm-hmm.
It's just through the sheer creativity of it, of just how, alone we have this really well-written philosophical discussion on just, how we are just how we are just how we are just a statistic. Got it. In the grand multiverse of just life, I guess, and just like how small one can feel
Mm-hmm.
of having all this just in your head. and it's set to a couple of rocks, just looking out over a really cool looking sort of backdrop, and it's told all through subtitles. Like honestly, that's just the creativity alone. Just what's the word? I guess there's a word. There's a word I'm trying to think of. Elevates it. Like it just elevates the scene for me.
Of course, yeah.
Just and it's just, and again, it's also because it's the scene where everyone starts to come around on Joy's mindset of how small they sort of are because I don't want. I guess like Joy sort of makes a compelling argument because she isn't exactly wrong, but she's just. It's
She
just
has a very
different point of
pessimistic
view.
point of view, yeah.
Yeah, it's a different point of view on how. It's like how people who are scared of like death or like get very sort of depressed over like when they realize how big the universe is, like that sort of thing. How there's pessimism and there's it's like optimism, I guess. I'm not sure what it would be,
Yeah.
but like she isn't wrong, and we. This is the scene where she fully lays it out, where like in time we are gonna find something else which will make us feel even smaller, because like even with just in real life with just the size of a universe, we can only see the observable universe, and that's already bigger than we can imagine. Like the unobserved one is probably even bigger. Like probably it's.
What do you mean, probably? It literally is.
You know that I trip over my own words and I say random
Yeah,
bollocks.
yeah, you understand what Tin said. The principle is what matters.
No, I'm accepting this. No.
Chap, if it is, that means it probably is, because the probability is 100, so it is more probable than improbable, so she's right. Anyway.
No, shut
up.
If you want to be pedantic, I'm going to be even more pedantic,
you know that's
okay?
not what was meant.
No. If you want to be pedantic, I'm going to be even more pedantic. Anyway, Tid, go on.
Right.
Like what was I saying now? Yeah, like. Well, again, that's just mainly why I like it. It's just how it's finally laying out Joy's mindset and how, again, it isn't wrong, and how it's just like you can somewhat see why she would suddenly want to just end it all because of it, and also because and also the scene is just really cool because, again, it's just rocks, and it's just so simple, but it's like so effective. Like that's why I love it.
Yeah. I adore that scene. I think the idea of having them be, rocks, it works really well for what they're doing with the story, because the point that Joy is making is about how they're so small, and they're genuinely just like atoms, like that's what humans are. Atoms, particles, came from like exploding stars and became who we are after like a lot of mutations in the way those particles and atoms are all work together, and are bunched together, I guess. And so coming to a universe where life never prospered, and then saying, oh, most universes are like this, you're like, not only does that make sense, like statistically, that most universes, the world would never like have been have been able to create life, to generate life, because of like the state of how the world is, because our world had been able to inhabit life is like the chances are really low, were really low, and so having them be in a universe like that, it showcases her point of like, look how small we are. We're just particles. We're just like these rocks living in other universes. where we don't matter. We're just gonna, when we die, we're gonna come back to this. Like the human race might end, and we're just gonna be this kind of like empty nothing of a field of where, ultimately we didn't affect anything on a grand scale. We don't matter. And Evelyn is like, she sees Joy's point by that point because of, obviously she's her mind has become scattered throughout the multiverse. She has seen that, yeah, like if every version of myself is living in the universe, why does this version of myself matter? I can experience everything, and that means that nothing is, has a point, because if I can experience every version of myself, there are no, I guess, stakes in my own life for me to enjoy my own life, because I know that somewhere I made the other decision that made me enjoy life, or I made or that didn't make me enjoy life, or I am experiencing this all at one point at the same time. And having that idea tie in with, I guess, the idea of how in the infinite universe we're so small, kind of makes it ties in with the idea of like ultimately our decisions don't matter in the grand scale, and that's kind of what they're feeling at that point, and kind of what Joy wants to say to her. But what I also really love is how Joy, after she mentions all that, and her and Evelyn are like, we're small pieces of shit and it doesn't matter. We have Joy saying, fuck. I guess after all this time, I was thinking, I was trying to find you to see if you'd have a different point of view. If you could change my mind and say that life is worth living. And Evelyn by that point didn't. But by the end of the film, she does. And I really love that small conversation, because it does mean that Joy, throughout her like hopelessness, she still had hope that somehow Evelyn would be able to, take her out of this trance, to help her find meaning in life. Which is why by that point they're both being like, you know what, yeah, we're just gonna kill ourselves. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if life doesn't matter, why should we continue living? Which is why Joy has that point of getting in the bagel. And the one thing that breaks Evelyn out of it is Waymond. But having that small conversation is just like, not only the idea that of the meaninglessness from Joy that we're seeing explored, but also how that ties in with the larger plot of how like Joy wants to feel like life is worth living, but she can't find a way of how to do that. Whereas Evelyn does find a way, and she convinces Joy, but it's through Waymond. So they all need a little convincing of how them being small pieces of shit in this grand universe. It doesn't really matter, because if nothing matters, then everything matters, which is basically the message of the film. If nothing matters, then everything matters. Which, what that means is that everything that matters to you on a personal level, it matters, because if you can't affect the universe or the multiverse on like a large scale, you can't change it. What you can change how you experience it. Is your own version of this world that you're living, your own reality. That's what you can actually affect. And so that's what matters. What matters is how you live your life, and how you affect the universe is something that you shouldn't concern yourself with, because you can't affect the universe. It is way larger than we could ever even conceive of. So, just sit back and enjoy like life, and that's kind of the idea. And I absolutely love that idea. So yeah, I think that scene is just like the way it works to symbolize not only Joy's point of view, but also what it means for the rest of the film, with how it sets up a lot, but also it showcases the points of view that are gonna be like the main focus of the film by that point, is really great. Which that scene is like one of the turning points, because I've heard that Daniel's mentioning how the film is kind of like a family drama that's like interrupted by a sci-fi film that's interrupted by something else. I don't remember what the third one is. And like this third one, I imagine it's this point where you're like, it becomes this existential conversation about life, rather than just being, a silly sci-fi film or a family drama, and then by the end in the third act we actually tie it all together that it is a sci-fi family drama about about having an existential crisis and how all of that can actually be worked through on like a personal level, which is all symbolized by how Evelyn works. So yeah, I absolutely love that scene. I think it's the greatest scene in cinema history. Yeah. I don't know what much else there is to say about this film. I mean, I know there's a lot we could talk about, but I don't know if there's a lot we have still left to talk about, considering I think we mentioned all the big things about this film, like that one scene, the Evelyn Joy Wayman. But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have anything you want to say before we close off? Because otherwise the stream's gonna be a bit small. Not that I have a problem with it, just yeah.
Not so much about.
I've said all Alec just said.
All right, Zod, are you gonna say something?
How much have we said about Deirdre? We haven't said much about her.
Oh yeah, we haven't mentioned Deirdre. I didn't think there's a lot we wanted to say, but if you have something you want to talk about Deirdre, go right ahead.
I found myself quite. I liked her a lot for some reason. It's sort of similar to Waymond in a small way. Like she's just getting crap quite a lot throughout a lot of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, Evelyn says that she's evil and she's targeting the Chinese in the community in the beginning of the film. Yeah.
Yeah, and she just punches her in the face. And from Joy's perspective, it's like you can understand why, because she's panicking to all fuck about the whole multiverse thing.
Mm-hmm.
But from Deirdre's perspective, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I just walk behind you. Why? And then of course there's the hot dog sausage finger universe,
mm-hmm.
where they're just they're sort of together, and like the Evelyn in that universe is just sort of grow more distant, and everything's just sort of falling apart between them, and no, it's not entirely clear why, but it's like looks sort of like Evelyn's just falling out of love, I guess, and that also just all sucks for Deirdre. And then there's the whole thing, like we've said before, in the the current universe where, was it a husband?
Yeah, her husband left her.
Yeah, that's right. Which also, like, similar to the hot dog universe. Yeah, she gets quite a lot of crap throughout the film.
Mm.
But then, when Joy starts to, fight like Waymond, as she puts it.
Evelyn, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Evelyn starts to fight like Waymond does. You just sort of get like a resolution to all this stuff. Like in the hot dog universe thing, it's like they start to patch things back up again, and they're happy and together again. In the other universe, it's like Evelyn makes it clear to her that she is loved, and I just found it charming. Like it's a small little arc that goes on throughout the film, and doesn't affect much, but it's just another consistent little thing that I enjoyed, and I was really, really weirdly hoping for it to sort of resolve in a happy way, and I got what I wanted, so I was happy about that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because the film doesn't forget about Deirdre, because Evelyn did like ruin her life in that universe by leaving her, and it's like, yeah, it is a version of Evelyn, but at the end of the day, they were in love, I guess. Evelyn and Deirdre in that universe, and she just left her because it's like she was weirded out because of the universe, but she also just like she didn't see the point in it, which is the moment she leaves Deirdre is that moment where she's just like sitting on the couch and like contemplating life, just like being very silent. And then when she starts fighting like Waymond, what she does is she says, "You're not unloved. You're not unlovable." Sorry, which is what Deirdre had told her in the universe. Or where she was being audited, where Evelyn was being audited. Because she had said it's unlovable bitches like us that get shit like that. Because of her conversation with Waymond and then talking about how her husband had left her, and so getting that, like her thinking like I am unlovable, it's unlovable bitches like us, and then having Evelyn be like, you're not unlovable. Even in the universe where we have hot dogs for fingers, we get very good with our feet, and it shows like Deirdre playing the piano with her feet in that universe, and her and Evelyn just living life like happily with their hot dog fingers, and it's like, you can be loved. It is you're not unlovable, and showcasing that in the universe where even her, which is a person that supposedly hates Deirdre, can love her in another universe. It shows her that that there is still hope for that. And so it really is great that the film didn't forget Deirdre, and it was like, tie that back in with her and show Deirdre and Evelyn having fun as they fucking vape, which I think is a fantastic moment, because it's like two older women vaping and they have no clue what they're doing really, and like Deirdre even says, I feel like I'm 20 again, and it kind of shows like, yeah, they're enjoying life despite what just happened. Like Evelyn is being divorced by Waymond, and they were talking about how Deirdre was talking about how they're unlovable, and so having that idea come from in that universe of them just having a little bit of fun as they fucking vape is just like so small but so meaningful. So it's a good point that you brought up Deirdre, because I really do like what she means for the film as well, because she's the first one that symbolizes the idea of being able to find meaning and things to love in the multiplicity of the vastness of the universe / multiverse, even despite like how stupid and silly something is, such as having hot dogs for fingers. So yeah, it's a good point. Also, you don't have to reply to as is alpha in chat, Aiden, because that person is most certainly a troll. So don't worry, especially with the way they're saying shit. They even like mentioned an ECUM meme regarding as, so that person's not being for real. So don't worry. But yeah, no, I really do love Deirdre as well. And she's played by Jamie Lee Curtis, which is just amazing casting because she's Jamie Lee Curtis. So.
I didn't even notice how like the consistent like the bringing back of the line about unlovable, and that's a nice touch. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's because she said it's unlovable bitches like us who get kicked to the curb. I don't remember the exact line, but she says unlovable bitches like us, and having Evelyn say you're not unlovable, it's like it ties in very well. This film does this a lot, where it's lines you wouldn't notice at first glance, but when you think about them again, you kind of realize, oh shit, yeah, this is brought back again later in the film, which is why I think this is the best film ever made, because of how everything matters by the end of the film to make like the entire package like just perfect. Like there's not a single second of the film where you're not experiencing something that isn't necessary to get the complete experience, which is just great.
Yes, it's one of those films that you can probably watch like 10 times and you're still gonna notice things.
Yeah, I've watched it 3 times, and every time I notice more stuff. Today I watched like the 20 minutes of it. I didn't have time to rewatch all of it before the ECUM, but I did notice more things. I think I mentioned earlier how I noticed something. I don't remember what it was, but I mentioned it earlier, so just rewind the stream and you're gonna realize what it is that I said. but yeah, there's always more stuff to notice with this film, which is just beautiful. Yeah, I don't. it is insane how good this film is. Probably won't get that much recognition at the Oscars because they hate sci-fi, but yeah, I really hope it does because it deserves every award. Jab, are you still alive or did you fall asleep?
Hello.
You are alive. I did not expect that. You've been quiet for a while. Jeb, is there anything you would like to talk about this film before we wrap up?
Did we speak about the fight choreography?
We didn't, but we can.
Yeah, because I think that really needs speaking about because it's very very tight yet very high paced. It's got a mix of different fighting styles.
Yeah, what helps with that as well is the guy who plays Waymond. He's a professional stunt choreography person. So,
Yeah, so there's a high chance that he like had a major say in all the fight scenes and such.
yeah, it helps a lot. Like obviously he's a very talented actor, but actually having the ability to plan out these sorts of fights as well and pull them off, it's quite impressive, especially at his age as well. It's around 50 or something, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of like fight choreography people like them so a lot are like getting on like in their age and they're still at the top of their freaking game, so it's impressive.
Yeah, I think the one you pretty much anyone would go to for him is the fanny pack fight, which is just brilliant. Just using a fucking fanny pack to just beat the shit out of some people.
Yeah, and I love how the fight
Yeah.
starts with him eating the fucking chapstick. Because they make it look so badass, but the cops are like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, whatever you're doing, stop!" But then he fucking eats it, and they're just cringing as he does it. But he looks so badass as he does it. But yeah, anyway, yeah, the fight choreography there is really great.
There's a in that fight in particular as well. There's just a lot of great comedic moments thrown into the fights as well. Like in that fight, one I appreciated, just that I find unreasonably funny, is when one of the guards gets thrown over a table, and the other one just sort of shouts their name and just goes, "Oh fuck," and then gets whacked in the face. It's just such a quick little thing, and I find it funny.
Yeah.
And another one as well in the fight in, when Deirdre has her super wrestling powers.
Yeah.
And Evelyn's still trying to sort of learn it all. Like she keeps getting zapped into the van with Waymond.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's that moment where she's grabbed from the van through the window by Deirdre, and I always find that moment like beautiful in terms of like just visual storytelling.
Yeah, filmmaking wise is brilliant, and also just the comedy as well of just Waymond saying that I feel like you're always being dragged away from me, pulled away from me, and then she's literally just pulled away,
yeah,
and just thrown across the fucking office, and it's just
yeah,
it's brilliant.
Yeah, because the film uses a lot of as we've mentioned a few times, uses the multiverse and its rules and everything as metaphors for what's trying to tell this story about these characters. And so having that, like, right as he says it, I think is a very clear example of the film being like, yeah, this is what we're doing. It is we are using these things to tell like a metaphor for a point of view or a way of living with yourself. And yeah, I really love that. But
another good fight
sorry,
as well that's not been brought up yet is the one where like like they're in like sort of an office and there's a safe room in the back.
Yes.
And Evelyn comes out there to fight a whole bunch of guys.
Mm-hmm.
That one is
she uses
brilliant,
her fucking what should we call it, sign rotating abilities to fight as she steals one of the guards' shields. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and just before that as well, just all of them doing these just insane things to multiverse jump, and it's
oh yeah, there's one of them who was photocopying his ass, and one of them was licking a fucking beam. It's great. I love that moment. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones where just watch it over and over again and pay attention to someone different each time. You're gonna get something brilliant out of it.
Yeah. And yeah, I agree with all that. One thing I want to say is like, even though the fights are very like, the choreography works really well, but it's very tight. It makes sense, but it is also like heightened reality in a way where there are quite a few moments where like physics don't work as they should. I think that Fanny Pack fight is the first time we see that, which is good because it's the first fight scene. It is informing the viewer as you're watching about the way the fights are going to be conducted in this film. But there are a few moments where it's like the way physics work are a bit off. I think especially that sign rotating moment is one where it's like, yeah, this wouldn't work as she's doing it, like breaking the sign and everything. Or when there's a guy who's gonna kick her, and his leg is over the shield. She takes the shield off and he falls to the ground. And that one was a bit absurd, but the film does have precedent for it. It kind of lends itself to that kind of Jackie Chan style, which is why I can definitely see how Jackie Chan was supposed to have played Waymond, because that fighting style is very Jackie Chan with like the heightened reality type physics in the fights, but it's never like, it never takes away from, I guess, the tension, especially because the tension in the fights is never like fully present, I would say, because the point of the film isn't about these fights. These fights are more like a vehicle to introduce these rules that are going to be explored for like a meaningful character story. And so at this point we're having more fun, but we're also establishing things that relate to that, because we have to get Evelyn to connect to more universes, to get her mind scattered more and more, to get to a point where she is everywhere all at once, like Evelyn, like Joy, which is where she needs to be by that point. So it does itself a very good job of like introducing these things while also feeling like it's not wasting time. It follows like a very logical cause and effect, and it is really great.
I think the peak of the heightened reality physics as well is the fucking kung fu pinky finger.
Definitely, yes. Yeah, even this finger can be kung fu, and she fucking uses her pinky finger to break the fucking chair. It's hilarious. I love it. I think as well when they're jumping on the butt plugs, that would like shatter their rectums, and it doesn't, obviously, when he jumps on it. And that is another like heightened reality thing where I'm like, yeah, it would do that. It doesn't, but that's okay. The film knows that this is silly. It's not trying to take this moment as like a serious moment, and it is consistent in tone and everything. The film has been shown to do that before, so it's not a thing where I would say is a problem with the film. I'd say it's actually more of a positive, because it is consistent. So yeah, I don't know. It is really great with the way it does those fights. It's really creative. I really love it. Because as well, it's like when you're making a film about the multiverse like that, and the point of the film isn't like Multiverse of Madness, you like tell a story introducing these rules or everything. It's like, no, we're making a very personal story about this family and these characters, especially Evelyn. The rest we can go batshit insane as long as it doesn't hurt any of the character beats in the film, and it doesn't, and that's what's beautiful about it. because the characters are what matters in this film, and so they can go crazy with everything else as long as it doesn't contradict that and it is consistent with that, like tonally especially. So yeah,
it's Mitchell's. It's like a Mitchell's versus Machines kind of thing, where they go insane, but the characters are like the heart of it all.
Yeah, though I would say Mitchell's vs. the Machines, it lends a bit more to the nothing making sense, because like in Mitchell's vs. the Machines, a lot of like inconsistencies, if you would think in that sense, of like logically how things work. This film, it is consistently insane in the sense that the rules for the weird shit are consistent. Whereas from Witches vs. the Machines, there are a lot of shit that happens that doesn't make sense, but it lends itself to the characters. And the film is not trying to take itself seriously. It uses those inconsistencies for like jokes and everything like that. So it is a bit different, but I agree that it's in like the same kind of vein, where it's not trying to be grounded as a story. It is just trying to be a personal character story that is set within this this setting, and exploring the characters through the setting as opposed to exploring the setting itself, because the setting is way more secondary to what the film is trying to be, which is the type of film that I want, to be honest. I very much do not care about something like Multiverse of Madness, just like from principle of being like introducing these rules for use in later films, but completely neglecting character, like fucking Strange's arc in that film being something that not even Benedict Cumberbatch knew what it was, because not only does it not make sense, but it is fucking it just, there's no setup, no development, and especially no conclusion. Whereas this film, it's all about the characters, and the first act is entirely introducing the characters. Where you get the first mention of the multiverse is only when they're going to the auditor, and even then, when the multiverse rules are being explained, it still lends itself a lot to characterizing Evelyn, with her paying half attention to the fact that the entire multiverse is at stake. Which, yeah, the fact that she half pays attention to that showcases so much about her character. So it is really great to way to introduce these rules, but also to be like, what matters here more is how she's being characterized. The rules are consistent, but that's not what you should be focusing on. Which is how I think all films should be, as in character focused, but also consistent. I think I said too much. My throat hurts, but yeah.
I agree.
You agree that I have said too much. Okay, I'll shut up now. Yeah. Is there anything else to talk about? Jab, have you said everything you wanted to say?
I believe so.
10, have you thought of anything to say since you said you didn't have anything to say?
I mean, no, there's not much. There's not much I can really talk about. So no, I don't think so.
All right, and you, Zod, are you happy with everything we've talked about?
I think we've covered pretty much everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we have. But I think we've covered enough to make a good case for why we think this film is really great. Because yeah, I think this is a type of film that you could talk about for hours, but it is kind of hard to like, unless we go very specific from like line to line. I don't think we can like mention it a lot beyond like the stuff we've already said. Which is why I'm just like, you should watch the film and understand the things we're saying for yourself, because it is a film that you should definitely watch. And if you watch this stream before you watch the film, well, I don't recommend that. I think you should watch the film first. I hope you at least will give the film a chance, because there's a lot that we aren't mentioning that is still like very important for, you know, the message that the film is trying to pass and how it's delivered really well. And you will notice more things of what I mentioned, we all mentioned, of these little details when you watch and you think about these things in mind, of the message the film is trying to pass, or what these characters believe and everything. So even if you did watch this stream, you will not lose out by watching the film. So
yeah, because it's one of those films where, like, doing a stream like this, like thinking of things off the top of my head is like we're never going to be able to cover like everything. But if like you're like, I'm going to do a fucking Mauler style critique of the film, then you'd be there for like it end up like days long because there's just everything, just there's so many things to talk about, just in pretty much every frame of the film is just it's absurd. Everything adds in some way or another. So it's definitely worth watching more than once.
Yeah, it's to a point where we mentioned the the montage of the different Evelyns, and it's like every single frame, if you pause, you're gonna find something to appreciate. They're like animated Evelyns, they're male Evelyns, there's God Evelyns, there's YouTube thumbnail Evelyns, as I mentioned, the Illuminati one. So it really is. You're gonna appreciate so much the work that went into this. Though I wouldn't recommend pausing that scene in the first time. I think the first time you watch should be you experiencing the film, and then you can like stop and analyze it more thoroughly with like a fine tooth comb. Yeah, I think that's all we gotta say for today, folks. I know. Oh, actually, this didn't turn out to be that short. I was worried it'd be like 2 hours or less, but 2.5 hours I think is fine. Especially with Justice 4. And it is a film that I love. It is my favorite film, tied with her and Jojo Rabbit. So I did really want to talk about it, and thankfully everyone else here really loved the film as well. It wasn't just something where one of us was passionate about it. Every single one really liked it. And as you can tell by Zod and Tin talking quite a bit today, they did as well really enjoy and get the film, which is great to see, because, it's a great film. So, yeah. With that, I think we will bid you adieu. Yeah, we'll talk to you next time, folks. You're probably next gonna see us reacting to Flash season 8 episode 16. So be excited. We have a different guest than we usually do. It's not gonna be Madvocate. It's gonna be someone else. Yeah. Just a little tease, but yeah. We'll catch you Thursday for Flash, and probably not next Friday, but some time for ECUM 52, where we talk about Jab's Cats for 6.5 hours. So yeah, goodbye, people.